Hide your feet. Hide your feet.
You're not getting that for free.
You can't put this on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
All right. This is the Laurel of the Chore Beer Chats podcast, and we are currently recording the Chore Beer podcast into bed. We have multiple cameras going.
In our hotel room bed. It's not.
Yeah.
It's no red flag. Copyrighted. Oh,
My microphone. Hello, this is Laurel. Oh, this is fun. This is gonna be a trash episode because the studio is not ideal.
it's not it.
What up? It's the Chore Beer Chats podcast, coming to you not live, pre-recorded from the Delta Suites Hotel.
Is it a suite?
Delta Comfort Center. I don't know. I don't have a suite.
Hotel and conference.
I actually don't have a room at all. I'm a Delta orphan.
She also got COVID. It's fine.
I think, yeah, International Women's Day probably gave me COVID. Anyway, all jokes aside, it's Wednesday. It's International Women's Day. I do not know when this episode is coming out because I did not really plan for it because currently, as of recording, I am not even halfway through season 1 and I was going to take a break. But then this girl here, Woman's Day, sorry, this woman was coming to Ontario again. And I just thought,
For one night only.
One night only.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. And I'm in a hotel room and I don't have the right equipment, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm real cozy.
It's really cozy.
I don't like that I'm not looking at you though. I'm just looking at myself.
Well, why don't you come sit back
I'm going to come
here?
back. Yeah. I just want to do a quick, really personal welcome. Welcome to, I don't know if this is going to be season 2. So I don't know if I want to say welcome to season 2 of Chore Beer Chats, but I think it will be. We might as well make this a special
I think it's official.
season 2 opener.
This just means you have to do a season 2.
You're right. It may just be this episode, but anyway. This is the children's podcast. Do I have to hold this like this?
I think it makes it better.
It does. Oh, this is actually cozy as shit.
Yeah, let's
This is so unhinged. I put my beer too far away, so it's so warm. It's so bad.
Go get your beer.
It's so warm.
The beer?
Yeah.
I thought you meant you in the bed.
No.
Oh boy.
Honestly, yeah. So I forgot some seriously crucial equipment. So I, instead of using my GoPro to film, I'm using my phone, which has all my notes for the said episode. So we're just going to wing it and that's fine. But basically, yeah. So we just, am I high? I feel high. I'm not.
I don't know.
But we're like, this is like the sleepover when you can't stop laughing, Yeah. The video's just literally, it's just the microphone. I could sit up more, but this is actually very comfortable.
I know. You're going to fall asleep.
I don't care. The
episode with our snapping.
The video can just be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess this is the time to introduce my guest. This woman I have in bed with me. I mean, that was as good a time as any for a quick intro.
A little quickie.
This is welcome to the show, Katelyn Duban.
Yeah.
Did you know for the longest time, even though I heard you always introduce yourself as Katelyn Duban, my brain wouldn't allow it, and I want to say Duban or Duban.
Yeah, that makes us sound French and fancy.
I know. Well, I think you're kind of fancy.
We're just like down home Ukrainian people.
I love that. Love a good
Yeah. Well, I'm actually
down home.
I'm actually German, but
I have German in me.
If they're not watching the video, but
explicit. These are my feet. They're in socks though, so don't even try anything. Don't try anything funny. I'm gonna get a noise complaint. I can't wait. Anyway, my introduction, Katelyn Duban. You probably know her as the Wildrose Farmer, or perhaps you know her as the Rural Woman Podcast, aka I call her now my podcast daddy because she has been my podcast coach and truly the reason we're laying here in bed with you today. Honestly, you know, if you see this, that means we got to season 2. So I have you to thank for that. And if not, we'll just watch this video together another time in bed because it's pretty funny.
When we go to Tijuana in 2024.
Yeah, 2024, we're going to Tijuana. I heard they had good plastic surgery rates.
Mm-hmm.
We're kidding. Mm-hmm. If you want to go there or if you have, no judgment. We're just coping. We're like self-deprecating and together we're just like
We
making.
just have to take a collective sigh after the long working day.
I really didn't do anything.
You worked
So
real hard.
I started
The devil
drinking at
works
4.
hard. Laurel Ice Fart works harder.
Honestly, though, I've been film crew today. Did we explain context? I did.
Nope,
today.
they have no idea.
We are in bed because we are in Guelph for the FCC Women's Summit for International Women's Day, in which the Wildrose Farmer was the host, in which
You were the social media influencer of the day. You got hired.
That sounds like
For a
an
job.
LOL joke, but I actually signed a contract.
It was a job. Yeah.
So
It's a real
dream job. But basically, no, she actually worked today and I did my usual, look at this hand. This is the nails emoji that I'm like really emitting. Nails emoji. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I was like a paid influencer today, but really like my job ended once it started. You know what I mean? She actually had to work today.
I did work hard.
And you did a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I forgot for a second that we were actually doing like a podcast and not just talking. So I should have a little more, what's the word? No, it doesn't matter. I can do what I want. Yeah, who cares? This isn't the Rural Woman Podcast, okay? This is like the Wild Wild West over here. Except you're way more west than I am, so that's ironic. Berta, Ontario. 2 different worlds. A tale of 2 cities, if you will. Anyway, so basically this was the last of your speaking engagement tours, or not speaking engagement, but what am I calling your tour? Tour with FCC. You've been on the road.
On tour.
Wildrose Farmer.
I made the hashtag. Yeah.
Since October.
Sure.
And now she's heading to, these toes are going to be distracting. I know you guys want to know, but I'm not taking off the sock. I'm going to hide that. And then she's heading to Tijuana next week. So to end off the tour with a bang. So that's great. And she, guys, I've seen her wallet. She's been carrying around a literal wad of pesos and dollar bills. I quote, she said the dollar bills are to keep the boys coming back. I had no context. That's what she said. And I was like, no judgment. International Women's Day. Get it, girl.
Yep.
I think she meant for the drinks, but what happens in Tijuana stays in Tijuana. You know what I mean? I've never been, but that's what I hear.
You get like hepatitis or something.
Hepatitis does come home with you.
That comes home.
Yeah, that does not stay in Tijuana. Oh, she did talk about possibly getting a tattoo in Tijuana.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wasn't the one who shot it down because I actually didn't really consider hepatitis.
Yeah.
But it is kind of it's a risk.
Yeah.
I don't know you want to deal with that. Is it worth it? TBD. We'll think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the tour has concluded and I'm forcing you to continue working. I don't think we can call this working, okay? We're cuddling and recording and filming in bed. And that sounds wrong. If that sounds wrong to you, you're sick. You should watch the video because it is exactly as you would imagine. Puppet shows and socked feet. Don't get excited. And my beer is warm, so I can't even finish my chore beer.
You totally can.
It's just, look at it. It looks like warm urine over there. It's a pass for me. How's your wine? Why aren't you drinking your wine?
I am drinking it. It's over here.
Okay, so we all know you. We all know you as the Wildrose Farmer. I keep saying the.
Mm-hmm. You do.
So how many episodes have you done now? Do you know the who do you at?
Of the Rural Woman podcast?
That's right.
I think I'm close to 180 at the moment for released episodes.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's been a time.
Wow.
March 2023 is my 4-year anniversary of the podcast.
Okay, that's precious.
It is.
That's
yeah.
coming. Wait,
4 years. Yeah.
what's today? Isn't it March?
Yeah, it's March 19th.
I don't know what today. Oh, it's Women's Day.
It's Women's Day.
Okay,
Yeah,
I've asked that 7
days.
times. What day is today? God damn it.
In 8 days.
Okay,
It is my 4-year
is there going to
anniversary.
be? Oh, you'll be in Tijuana.
I will be in Tijuana.
That's freaking poetic.
It is, yeah. I
That's
think so.
amazing.
Yeah.
Did you ever think you would get here? Not Tijuana, but
No, absolutely not. I shared a story while we were on stage today. We, as in me and the mouse in my pocket, that I recorded my first like dozen episodes or so. And I figured, well, if like a couple people listened to them, I'd be pretty happy with that. But then people just kept on listening and kept on saying they wanted
they
to talk to
just
me.
wouldn't leave.
Yeah, they just wouldn't leave.
The audacity.
Well, we can get into that. But
We could.
yeah, it, nope, never imagined it would be what it would be. And yeah, it's turned into, it's a full-time gig now, where it was definitely a selfish hobby to begin with. Selfish in the fact that I wanted to hear the stories of women in agriculture because I thought they were freaking cool.
Yeah, they are.
So turns out everybody else wanted to hear them too. So
True Dat can confirm. I would like to know also, or if you all don't know, but this was a City Slicker before. You were a City Slicker.
I sure was, yeah.
So, okay. So basically, short form story, you met your now husband in the city.
Yeah, we met on the internet.
Wow.
Before you could swipe.
Before
This was pre-swiping people. Yeah, so I met him. He was my very first and only online date I ever went on. Thank
Good.
Jesus.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Because I hear it's rough on those streets out there.
It really, I've heard that as well.
Yeah. So
I don't want to know myself.
We met. The courtship was about 4 years or so. And then, got married, moved to the farm. His mother moved out. I moved in. And the rest was history.
As they say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and then at what point did you start like your Wildrose Farmer? When was that? I don't want to say alter ego because it's like your ego. You know what I mean? Yeah. When was she born?
She was born, actually, I started my Instagram page like right after we got married, but it was embarrassingly not Wildrose Farmer before it was
it like
Wildrose
recipes?
Farmer. No.
Pinterest DIY?
I just mean like my handle wasn't Wildrose Farmer.
Oh, what was it?
Are you ready for this?
No.
You're not going to believe me.
No, I can't. I don't know. It'll make me look at you differently, but I have to know. Please tell me.
But just know it's because I've grown.
I know. Okay, I got it. I'm ready.
Farm Wifey blog.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I did know that actually.
Yeah. So
okay.
We all have regrets.
But you know what? It's growth, and it's like you coming from the city.
Yeah.
And can I say zero experience in agriculture or
Legit
like
zero? Yeah.
Like
I went to a petting zoo once.
Sure. Yeah. And like what agriculture is, sort of. Like
I'm learning.
Yeah. Right. No. I mean now I'm sure you do now. But I mean at the time. But I think that's like a very good example of a lot of the misconceptions of being a woman in agriculture.
Right. I thought I had to be a farm wife. Like that's what I thought my place was. And that's what I thought my title had to be because I didn't know a lot about what was going on, and I was learning and I was experimenting and all of these things.
Well, you're trying to find your place.
I was trying to find my place in agriculture and my voice in agriculture. So yeah, it wasn't until, I had been on the farm for, I don't know, a couple of years until I realized that, hey, I don't have to identify myself through my husband's career. I can be my own goddamn person. Who'da thunk?
Right, but it took you time to
grow into that.
And you also
feel the confidence.
Exactly. You have to have the confidence, because if it's in like a whole new world, of course, like, yes, because of society teaching you, like, woman on a farm, you are now farm wife.
Right.
That's it. And you go.
I was just gonna say, for the people who do call themselves farm wife, fuck yeah, you are. Like, good for you.
Yeah, you are.
Because you know what? That's the hardest job on the farm, because you are taking care of so many things. And, I think I can recall an interview that somebody did saying that they didn't feel comfortable calling themselves a farmer because they couldn't do everything on the farm. Like they couldn't, like if something happened, they wouldn't be able to continue because they couldn't do everything on the farm. And I thought to myself, if something happened to me, like my husband, God bless him, could not feed the crew. Like that's one of my jobs. Like I have to feed people at points in time until I learned how to drive the combine. Then I didn't have to feed anybody anymore. It was a snap. But he couldn't do that. So can he call like
double standard?
That's a job on the farm. Like
that's
you
right.
have to get the crew sustenance so they can work, and like all of these different things, like all of the different excuses people give themselves of why they can't call themselves this and whatever. Like if you don't want to call yourself a farmer and you would prefer to be a farm wife, guess what? You get to decide that.
I think the bottom line is yes, if it's what you decide, get it.
Yep.
But if it's the outside opinions when they're different from what you perceive yourself as, I mean, that's not always a terrible thing. They don't know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But what matters is what you think. And so I personally do not identify as farm wife. And honestly, it's literally the farm. I'm going to flex for a sec. The farm is in my name and it's my family's farm before we bought it. So blessings out to #RanchhandAndy. And he is obviously equal parts. But in this scenario, if we're going to be fucking honest, he's the fucking farm husband. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's going to hate this, whatever. But also because I'm like full time on the ranch and has a job that pays for the fucking shit that I do on the ranch. So I'm here.
But
like
how
100%
many
of the time.
women though work off of the farm and have careers, like whether they're a nurse or they're a teacher or they're a banker or whatever off of the farm, and their paycheck and their health benefits and their whatever goes towards their husband's farming habit.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
So
yeah, I don't
it's
get
all
it.
like, it's give and take, and just don't be a dick about it.
Just don't be a dick. And exactly. And you are allowed to, I'm not shaming farm wives. It's just not my vibe. For me, I would take offense to that, but that's a personal thing and that's not anything bad. It's just because I do not identify as that. That's simply it. It's the same reason I've said before about like, if someone called me a hobby farm, I'd be throwing hands. But if you're a hobby farm and that's how you identify, sick, cool beans, bro. But for me, that's an insult. That's like, like, oh, petting zoo. You know what I mean?
I would love to come.
That's what I mean.
Pet
So if
Roger.
I mean, I know. Roger doesn't even let me pet him.
Come on.
He's still alive somehow, actually. But yeah, I think that's important because I remember actually, I forget, one of your recent-ish, no, it wouldn't be super recent, like within the last month or 2 months. I think I listened to it on the way up to seeing you the last time in February, but it was one about talking about kind of the farm wife language. And it is cool to hear different sides to it, and that there are people that, like that's how I identify. Like I think it's important to, like I enjoy my role as the the cook and whatever, keeping the house and delivering the field meals. Like, that's not my bag. But you know what? There's a role for everyone. Everyone has a place, and it's all important. And yeah, just don't be a dick is, I think, the moral of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was something I wanted to say. We were talking earlier tonight at dinner, a bunch of us. This is sort of off topic, but not. It's like Miley Cyrus Flowers vibes right now. I'm going off on it a little bit. We were talking about asking for, like, in terms of jobs or like speaking engagements or whatever, asking for your rate, or like when they go, okay, I want to book you for this, how much? And you're like, oh my God, I don't know. And we had this big discussion and kind of back and forth about how, oh, well, you need to, well, your advice is like whatever number you think, double it. Yeah. You've passed that on to me for sure.
Yeah. I got that advice from a good friend of mine many, many years ago. And it's when I get the DM saying, Katelyn, I have this opportunity and they want to know how much I should charge. I give them the same speech. Should we role play? Should we role play to have this example?
Yeah.
Okay. Set the scene.
Wait, who am I?
You're the one asking.
What am I setting the scene? Where I'm on Instagram?
Sure.
Hi, I'm on Instagram. Hello, I'm in your DMs. I'm Farm Bros Company Incorporated.
We'd love that. I'd block them immediately.
Yeah, I know, right?
Farm gals.
I'd love to have you at our bro conference. What's your rate?
Yeah.
Or how much, what do you charge?
You're doing a really bad job of setting this up.
You should be that person.
So like for the people who are interested in like going out and speaking and interested in doing different things in agriculture and using their voice, like a lot of times people get asked to speak at like their local community conference, or they get asked and invited to speak on really big stages and all of these things. And, you know, some of the first opportunities that I ever got to do that, a lot of times people ask you what your speaking rate is, and you can Google the hell out of that of what do speakers charge, and they'll tell you anywhere between $20 to $20,000. And it's like, not
helpful.
That's not helpful. So yeah, you have to factor in a lot of things. Like, what's your time worth? What's your, time away from your family, your farm, your job, or whatever it is. And 9 times out of 10, women specifically don't value that as highly as, let's say, their male counterparts would. So typically, when people ask me how much should I charge, I ask them to like think of all of these things and how much do you think you should charge? And usually they come back with, typically it's a really low ball answer. If I'm being honest, they're like, oh, I don't know, like $25. And then I say to them,
deal.
Yeah, right. Like,
what a deal.
Or like just like a fairly low number. And immediately I'm like, that's great. You should double it. And then I see what their reaction is. And they're like, are you serious, bro? I'm like, yeah, just double it. And if they say no, they say no. Or you can negotiate or whatever.
Yep.
And they come back and they're like, Katelyn, they booked me for that doubled rate. Wow. Can you imagine?
Katelyn being right. Imagine that.
Can you say that again? One more time.
Katelyn, you were right.
Okay. And, obviously it's different for every scenario and stuff. But I think a lot of times, specifically women really undervalue what their worth is. Right. So in any scenario, and monetary values for sure. And, money as a female entrepreneur seems like a dirty word a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So.
And we undervalue ourselves though. Like, it's ingrained in us. And it's not, what were the words by my episode with Danny Von Schweet? She said something like, these thoughts or these preconceptions were put in our heads, not with our permission. Like, they were put there by society. So, so your instinct is not yours because you're a boss.
I am now, but
now,
I definitely wasn't.
But early Katelyn, you're undervaluing yourself. Yeah, for sure. But my whole thing with this conversation, so we were kind of going back and forth, and we were sitting with a few different people in different industries and whatever, and like a photographer and et cetera. and just saying how, yeah, like it's so hard to ask. Like I didn't know what to start with and blah, 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 blah. And this conversation went on for a bit. And do you know what got me thinking is, do you think a fucking table of dudes would be having the same issue? Do you think dudes have the same issue asking?
No.
Why? Because society has not stopped them, has not shown them historically that like they are valued. They'll get what they want. You know what I mean?
Yes, for sure. I think the answer that I've been coming up with lately, it's like, well, why do they get this? Like, why do they get this? And my answer is, well, they have the audacity.
It's 2023.
It's 2023.
Word.
It's my power word for 2023, audacity.
Wow.
Yeah.
And audacity can be a good thing for sure.
Legit. And the reason that I picked that word for my 2023 vibe was because the audacity that they have, like if I could have just like an eighth of whatever that is, like I think I'd be pretty successful. And you know what? So far, so good. So
I feel like I subconsciously have followed suit for 2023.
You know what? I'm so glad. And I actually have to say, like, I was tagged in a post recently and somebody had used the word audacity in their post. And then like I got credited for that. I was like, I didn't come up with the word audacity. I just adopted it as mine. And if you're hearing this today and you're like, that's a power word right there, please adopt it for yourself, because the more of us that have audacity, the more yes queen energy we get.
And we need all the energy.
We need all the audacity for the women's.
We do. Did I tell you this already? Who cares? I'm telling you again if I did. My 2023 mindset that I kind of adopted was, I don't think it happened until like February. I don't care. I digress. So basically I told myself, I just feel like I should stitch it on a pillow, as you have said. I think you have said that, right?
Stitch it on a pillow and put it in the entryway.
Audacity. Is that not nothing. I'm already screwing up my own quote or my own mantra. Is that only good comes from going outside your comfort zone. I'm sure that's already a thing, but it is something I have really been leaning into, and it's been like trippy because so many good things so far in the last couple months have stemmed off of like uncomfortable things that I didn't want to do, but I did it.
Yep.
Like the last month when I saw you when you were in Ontario last at the Young Farmer Summit, I told you like I didn't want to get out of my car in the parking lot because imposter syndrome, because it was like men and women, which is hypothetically fine, but because of said societal seeds that have been planted in my brain for whatever reason. Like I was confident going there. As soon as I got to the parking lot and saw these farm bros getting out of their pickups. I don't know. I think if it was just women, I wouldn't have felt that. Yeah. And I hate to admit it. But the bros got me intimidated. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not going in because I feel like I don't belong here. And that's so stupid. But it's like, that's the feeling that I think so many women in ag do. Not even just in ag, any like male dominated anything, which is like basically everything in the history of the fucking planet, because fuck the patriarchy. But I think anyone in a industry similar to that knows what I mean. Yeah. And it was just like, I just feel like, okay, well, these people have, and they're not thinking about me. They don't give a shit. They're dumb. Their little peanut brains aren't even worrying about me, but I'm in my brain going, thinking that they're being like, this bitch doesn't belong here. You don't know anything about ag and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I didn't want to get out of my car, but then I did. And then like several good things happened. Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. Like people at my table, like have somebody that I'm doing an interview with or something, interviewing me. And then I've got a future season 2 podcast guest. And then I started a relationship with FCC, and now I'm here as an influencer. So good things.
Good. So I say this a lot, and I feel like a broken record when I say it, but you have to have courage to build confidence, and it took courage to get out of your vehicle to go in there, right? And you might not think it's courageous to do that because it seems so silly.
Yeah.
But when you are in uncomfortable situations, or you put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, that's where growth happens.
When you grow.
Right? That's when you grow. And it sounds so stupid. And again,
but it's so true, dude.
And that's the thing. Like, I hate it because people are like, I'm so confused of how this works for you, or whatever it is. Like, literally nobody knows what's going on. Absolutely nobody. If you think that somebody knows what's happening, they have basically just like figured it out.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows
like
what they're doing.
Fake it till you make it's kind of a decent approach to an extent.
Had said something, not fake it till you make it, but basically like just like figure it out until you make it, because you're not faking
it's true,
right? Like, you are showing up as your authentic self, and your authentic self,
you're just not fully having the confidence.
Anxiety. Exactly.
Yes,
You just don't have the confidence. So,
but you build the confidence. You got to build it. It doesn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah. And I preface like the farm bros like joking thing. Like, there are so many incredible people in this industry, and if you just give them the opportunity to share their story, like the bro layers will like shed off like a snake.
A snake.
A snake.
A snake.
Skin. Because honestly, like, they're just like, we're conditioned to have these preconceived notions of people. Like, oh, you see this girl jumping around in a bright green suit and like dancing on stage. Like, what kind of farmer is she, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just like, we have different lived experiences, and their lived experience of women in agriculture can be completely different than the Jolly Green Giant on a stage, right?
And that's okay. And that's actually what makes the world better,
right? And it makes us diverse, and it makes us stronger together, because we can't all be the same.
No.
Right? We have to be good at different things.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was scary, but it is so true. You just have to keep putting yourself. That's like been my thing.
Yep.
If you keep putting not like dangerous situations, that's not what I mean. Don't put yourself in danger. You did not get that from the Farmer Chats podcast. Oh my God.
You need to put a disclaimer there.
I do. I just mean things that you normally would be like, yeah, no, I don't love that idea. Like going somewhere alone. Like, I'd rather die. Do it. Just try it.
That's the thing. Like, and I announce where I'm going, and like conferences in people's areas, and they're like, oh, I don't have anybody to go with. I'm like, there's literally a room full of farmers there.
Yeah.
Those are the people you have to go with. Like,
and that would have been me like last year,
right.
Because I was like, nope, not confident enough.
So can we just like take a braggadocious moment? Can we have a braggadocious segment?
Yeah, let's go. Our braggadocious segment is brought to you by
the Wildrose Farmer.
Yeah,
I'll buy you a beer.
Perfect.
I have known you, I think, since
what's a braggadocious about me?
2020-ish. I remember our first interactions with one another. And I have to say, I have a lot of respect for you, of your platform, and how inclusion is such a big thing for you. And also like just the diversity and just the audacity, really. The audacity.
It started in 2020.
Yeah. But that, for me anyways,
yeah,
it was probably long before that, right? But even when you came to me with the idea for this podcast, I immediately knew it would be wildly successful before you even had anything completely planned. And if I can share, like, you came to me with this idea and you were nervous, and I was like, yep, this will work. Yep, this will work. Like,
I thought you were fucking with me.
No, it's working.
It's like, tell me it's wrong.
No,
that's great.
And I didn't even do that just to get a paycheck or anything.
Right.
But because I knew who you were, and genuinely how much you love the community that you've built online. Like, there can be some meanies sometimes, but there always is.
Lots
the trash lets itself out, but most of the time. But just your love for connecting community, like, is apparent. So I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
And also, I have to tell them, like, in case they didn't hear the voicemail I left for you while driving through a blizzard on your launch day of your podcast, season 1. The way that I could describe it.
I love this. I love it. Yeah, memorialize this, please.
Yes. So when I started my podcast back in 2019, I Googled the hell out of how do you start a podcast and taught myself how to do it. I was a terrible audio editor. I still am. Luckily, like I've progressed. I don't have to edit my own audio anymore. All of the things.
Goals.
Right. And, you know, in this growth, I've been able to hold hands, cuddle in bed with podcast coaching clients.
Metaphorically, and literally.
So I've been able to help other people.
Will I be invoiced for this? Is there an extra charge for the cuddling?
Yeah, for sure.
That's later.
Yeah.
End of year.
Yeah. So like I've been able to help other people and like open doors and help open doors for them. Like, you know, they come to me with ideas of podcasts and all of the things, and I'm able to teach them. I'm able to coach them. I'm able to like bring them through different scenarios and all of the things. And you like were an absolute delight to work with. And then when I heard the podcast drop, I literally had envy for you, Laurel, and I had a little bit of rage because I listened to it and I thought to myself, if I could make any kind of comparison that any millennial could relate to, you know, like grade 7, like the caboodle makeup case, the blue eyeshadow, really black eyeliner, and like the foundation that did not match your skin tone.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the Rural Woman podcast when it launched. And a snatched, contoured YouTuber video of 2023 grade 7er was the Chore Beer Chats.
Alex Earl?
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
Alex, if you're watching, Alex is like 7 million. She's not watching.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry. I just interrupted your super nice compliment and hilarious metaphor.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Because I was taught by the best. So that's what happens.
You know, you can only do so much. If you can't do, then teach.
This is true.
Yeah.
No, it's been great. And also, if anybody wants some podcast coaching, I'll let you know when she's not cuddling with me because I take up a lot of time. But no, I literally wouldn't have a podcast without you. Just so you know, I wouldn't.
I appreciate you.
Because I would have quit a very long time ago.
I wouldn't let you.
The Patreon homework.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I was so overwhelmed. So I just fucking quit for now.
But you know what? Like, I think for me, getting advertising or sponsorship or anything like that from like a company to me feels, I don't know, more normal. When people give me like their personal hard-earned money.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm always kind of like, am I worthy?
No, it's a mind fuck. And I have experience with TikTok basically bought Birdie, if you recall.
Should we tell them about Birdie Kevin breeding plans? Yeah. He's just a baby.
How old is Kevin?
7 months old.
Birdie's like 9. No, that's not true.
She's the older woman.
Oh, she might be 9.
9 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bernese Mountain Dog?
Bernese.
No, I was trying to remember. Bernese, right?
Yeah, it's Bernese.
Bernese Mountain Dog is Kevin, and Birdie is Great Pyrenees. And we're thinking we should do puppies, but you know what? It's just, no, we're not actually thinking that. We're not thinking that.
That could be a real revenue earner.
Oh, shit. Wildrose by Ice Redigers. Puppies. Puppy mill.
Oh, God. We'd get canceled for sure. Shop.buy, whatever that is.
Adapt, don't shop.
Adopt, don't shop.
Yeah, but
Shop,
hashtag
don't buy.
Birdie Kevin pups.
Right.
We could really. That.
Retirement plan.
Another 2023 mantra for me was like, get that bag. And I'm being very transparent about it to all my people because.
Which you should. Like,
in an authentic way. I'm not like gonna fucking. I was gonna say something I'm not going to. I'm not gonna like sell skinny tea or something, like partner with skinny tea or something. I've bought skinny tea before.
No,
I've been trapped. I got sucked into that. Yeah, it was before my wedding when I was just a tiny little baby. And now I'm like 3 times the size. Because every time you think you're fat, you're not.
Yeah.
Body dysmorphia.
I look at my wedding photos and I'm like, oh, that was definitely the verge of an eating disorder.
Yeah, but then you were like, oh, I look awful and I feel so bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love being a woman. Or what's that thing? Oh, how I love being a woman. Happy International Women's Day. Yeah. Trigger warning. Eating disorder. Just kidding. I ate good today. No disorder here. I mean, the opposite kind.
The waiter definitely noticed.
Yeah. Here's the thing. International Women's Day of all fucking days. Do not have the audacity to come to the table, see my empty, basically licked, polished, fucking clean bowl, and go, wow, looks like you licked it. That's essentially what I got.
Essentially, yeah.
I was like, bring me another. Mm-hmm. He didn't. And you know why? Because it was $28 fucking for mac and cheese.
The audacity
of Guelph to have mac and... It was so fucking good, though.
Yeah, I would do it again.
I would do it again. Mm-hmm. Don't tempt me. I might tonight. Just kidding. Not a great idea. I went to look at my notes. I immediately forgot them. I think I wanted to follow up when asking about like your transition from a city girl to a country bumpkin. Like, how did you... Okay, so we talked about having like the courage to have the confidence.
Courage.
Is that how you word it?
Yeah,
courage builds confidence.
Yeah.
So obviously for you and like your journey of getting the confidence in your whole new world, I'm going to drop an album. That sounds so good.
I just need to go to bed at some point.
Yeah, I know.
Wrap it up.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Did you was that once you gained awareness of your new sense of belonging, did it waver your confidence, or were you like, that's it, that's who I am?
If I'm being honest, my
only honesty on the Chorber Chats podcast.
Yeah. I think that if I'm being honest, I'm still really finding my place when it comes to being physically on the farm. Mm-hmm. It's a multi-generational farm. There are multi-generations of problems when it comes to that. Yeah, explicit. So yeah, when it comes to actually like on-farm stuff, I still really feel like I struggle in finding to know what my place is supposed to be, where I'm wanted, where I'm needed, where I'm not wanted, all of those things, which a lot of them are outside of my control. And I think at that point, I'm at the point of acceptance of that.
Right.
But
which is huge.
Yeah, it is. It's
That's
taken
a
a
big
really, really
journey
long
to get to acceptance and everything.
Get to. Yeah, for sure. Because I tried so hard. It's like, well, I want to be good at everything and I want to do all of these things. But the fact is, I am just not, I'm not good at some of those things. And that's okay.
Accepting that is difficult.
Yes. Acceptance is the first step, I think. But when it comes to being a voice in agriculture, that's where it slaps, because
it slaps.
That's where I'm supposed to be. Like,
yeah.
And it doesn't, I've said this before, like if the farm was gone tomorrow, then what? Right? Like, then do I still have a place in this industry? And what would that place be? And what would that look like? And would I be a woman in agriculture if I didn't have a farm? And that was a question that I struggled with for a really long time. And knowing what my identity was separate from my husband's identity.
Right.
Right. And the fact is, if the farm was gone tomorrow, I would still show up and be a voice for agriculture, because that's the industry that I love. That's the industry that I'm passionate about. And I'm passionate about the people that I've met, and I'm passionate about the stories that they have to share. So,
right. And just because something happened and tomorrow you were no longer like physically on the farm, it doesn't change your experiences.
Right.
Yeah. So you still, it's a part of you.
Right. And, you always have the question, and you struggle with the question, like, would I be accepted by the industry? Would I, whatever? Because, I've seen it firsthand where there's women who have been advocates in this industry and they are no longer the farm wife or the farmer or whatever it is on their operation. And they're like, it can look like they're exiled. And it's just like, you can't discredit the work that they've done for the industry just because they're no longer on this operation, whether it's because their marriage ended or they lost the farm, or they just, decided that their life was going to go a different direction. They sold the cows or any of those things, right? Like,
Yeah.
In reality, there's not a lot of farmers around. And, if there are people who are here and willing to use their voices for the good of agriculture, like, let's invite them in and let's accept them and welcome them and help them, right?
I love that. So the imposter syndrome, do you experience that with what you're doing? Is it more so like, do you get imposter syndrome with your place on the farm, but like maybe with amplifying voices is something you're more confident in? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I would say definitely the imposter syndrome comes up a time or two when it comes to being in the field and working on the farm. And there's times where, there's questions asked of me, whether that's from sales reps or whether that's from, people who are buying things from the farm or whatever it is. And I don't know the answer. And it used to really bother me. Like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. Like I don't know these things, but I don't really have to know all of these things.
No, nobody does.
Nobody does, right?
Bill Nye does, but no one else.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't have to. And, that's when the teamwork comes in. That's when I'm going to play to my strength. You're going to play to yours, and we're going to work as a team to get the job done. So the imposter syndrome stuff definitely would come up, I would say, more often in the beginning. There's still, the odd time or two. But other than that, I don't know. I think we all have bad days.
Yeah.
Other than that, being the voice for women in agriculture now, one of the things that I really had to work on for the last number of years is how to accept a compliment.
Oh, I can't do it. Yep.
Yeah,
I feel that.
It's real awkward.
I'm at the stage of awareness, I guess. I'm at that step where I'm like, listen, you sound like an idiot. Why could you just say thank you? I'm not at the stage of accepting it, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm painfully aware of what I just said. Why can't I just be normal and just be like, thank you?
Yep.
It's the self-deprecation. It's
it is
mechanism.
Right? And it's easier. It's so much easier to make a joke at your own expense and all the things and the trauma and all the things that, are behind that, whatever. But, I've paid enough money for therapy by this point where I have just been able to start to accept these compliments. And I just there are the stories that I come across, or whether it's that I get to share them directly on the podcast or the stories that I get afterwards saying this is how this woman's story affected me.
Right.
It's a lot. I hear a lot of stories behind the scenes, in front of the microphone, behind the microphone, all of these places. And it's a lot for one person to hear. And I've had to accept that, I am going to be a sounding board for a lot of people, and to learn to kind of separate myself from that in my own feels for it. I can feel empathy for it, but I can't accept it as my own weight to bear. So
yeah, because you have a lot of stories that you get to experience through people. So I can't imagine. Yeah, that's quite a lot. So then when did you start? How did you transition from, I guess your podcast hosting, and then how did that transition into what was your first in-person
public speaking?
Yeah. Was it a public speaking engagement, right? Where was that?
Oh boy.
The old Legion?
It wasn't actually. I think my first conference I spoke at was Organic Alberta Conference in 2020 pre-vid. It was February 2020, and that was my first in-person.
That was right before the vid.
That was right before the vid. So I was kind of oh, well, that's nice. Like they let me do that and whatever else. But honestly, like once I did it the first time, like I think it was about like, I think I talked about the podcast or like how I started and all of that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, it's just kind of organically grown. I was a social media influencer for FCC in 2020, pre-vid, at the Young Farmer Summit. Actually, I got invited to go, and it was a great experience. I actually met neighbors of mine at my own table.
That's cool.
Yeah, I didn't know them. I was like, oh, you live next door to me and I don't know you. But yeah, so that's kind of how it started there. And then it's just slowly, I started doing these one-off things and people just kept on inviting me to stages. And I think when it really hit me that like, oh, I am now a public speaker, was when I went to the Advancing Women in Agriculture conference in 2022. I think I presented there. I don't know. Maybe I knew before I was a public speaker. But anyways, I had gone to that event as a farmer in 2018. And it was a big, like it's huge. There's like 500 women there. Like there's big speakers, all of the things. And they invited me to speak on the stage. And I had the moment of like, oh, this is real. But also the moment that I remembered that a former boss of mine, when I had my career off of the farm and when, I had a salary and the pension and all of the health benefits and all of the things that I quit to learn how to drive a tractor. My boss had told me that I didn't belong like center stage. I belonged behind the scenes. And I remember having that like, holy fuck moment when I got on that stage. And I remember I was like, I never want to feel like this again. And I never want anybody to feel like this, like that their voice and that their stories aren't interesting or they're not dynamic
or
enough
they're not
or worthy of whatever, right? So it's just like, no, we all belong here to share our stories. And then it was like, all right, well, I'm going to go all in on this. And, I've been asked, to speak on stages all across Canada and into the States and all of that kind of stuff. And it's been incredible. Like I have to credit a lot of it to the podcast and that being what it is and people, knowing the name, the Wildrose Farmer.
Yeah. And also, so before the podcast, did you any type of like public speaking or like presenting? I don't know if I want to know that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I do. Tell me.
Okay.
Hit me.
Some people wouldn't know this about me, or they wouldn't believe me if I told them. So I was in the grade 7 speech competition.
Okay. Yep. I already don't believe you. That sounds made up.
Yeah, I got to go in front of the school and do that. I also was a theater kid.
I can see that.
Yeah, I was a theater kid. I was in musical theater. I did all of the theaters. So yeah,
amazing.
no starring role by any means.
But like the spark was there a little bit.
Like it was fun. We had a lot of fun doing that.
Right.
But yeah, other than that, no, I had no absolute. Even starting the podcast, like who the fuck who are you to start a podcast in 2019? With no
the audacity.
Hey, I guess I had it then, but no, I didn't know any of it.
But and also our theme is the way the confidence grows. I keep fucking it up. Courage, confidence. What's the line? The courage
builds confidence.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Is so the courage and the audacity to start the podcast and you're talking and it becomes more of a normal thing, whereas. Like personally speaking, was a wild concept to me. And
laying in bed with
that part, not at all. It's a dream come true. But just, I think part of a personal journey of self-love, self-acceptance, whatever. And also like a big attributing factor to just the way I show up on social media in general is like being able to, okay, again, bringing it back to my episode with Sandy, talking about you don't have to be your best friend. You just have to be friends. Oh my God, I'm fucking up all the quotes, but it was so good. Go listen to it. But it was about like you have to like to be able to, you have to be friends with yourself.
Yeah.
So to show up in that space, to not want to cringe every time you see your face on like a story or whatever.
Yeah.
And hearing your voice, that's a hard.
Yeah, it's hard to get over. And it's the amount of people that come up to me now and they're like, I love your voice. They're like, I could listen to you talk all day. Or like, have you ever thought
I want you to like put me to bed with a
audiobook?
Yeah,
or
can
like,
you read me Harry Potter?
I've never read Harry Potter.
I haven't either.
Okay.
We'll read it together. Gryffindor.
Isn't there like different houses?
Slytherin,
Yeah.
Gryffindor, Hufflepuff.
You know more about this than
I watched
do.
the movies. I've seen the movies.
I've never
There's
seen
a
the
fourth
movies
one.
either.
Dude, Gryffindor? I'm going to get canceled for this. Hufflepuff, Gryffindor, Slytherin. Is there only 3?
I don't know. I haven't seen Okay, I watched one Star Wars movie with my high school boyfriend and I fell asleep.
I almost said his name. Can I?
Sure.
Brad.
Hi, Brad.
Hi, Brad. Hope you're doing well.
He is
Audacity.
doing well.
Oh, good.
He has a really pretty lady friend.
Oh,
We're still friends on Facebook.
okay. Good for you,
It's
Brad.
really good.
I thought I
He's
was.
a nice boy.
I thought I had to have beef. Like
no,
I
he's
was
a nice
like
boy.
going to bat.
I think I broke his heart. I can't remember.
Probably.
It
I'm
happens.
sure you've broken a lot of hearts, little lady. Tangent, but I was trying to say about how, so the confidence, and now that you're doing all these like public speaking engagements and hosting events, and it's like so natural for you. Like to me, I don't know how you feel about it, but like it like appears as though you've been doing it forever.
Yeah.
I think that's just putting yourself, oh my God, did we plan this? Outside of your comfort zone, because if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you're not going to grow. So you have to have the courage to get out of your comfort zone, to try these things, because you're not going to get any fucking better at them if you don't try them.
Exactly. And you know
Right?
what? You're going to be really bad the first time you go out.
P.
Yeah. You're going to be so
Hondo
bad. Except if you're Laurel Eisbart and starting a podcast. But other than that, like you are going to be bad at it. And you know what? That's okay. No. And the thing is, okay, this too, I want to make this point. This is my soapbox moment.
Get up on there.
I don't ever want to be perfect at anything. I just want to be myself and be able to show up as myself, because I've tried the perfect thing and it really didn't do it for me. It wasn't it.
It's so unsustainable and unrealistic
It's
and all
so
the things.
unsustainable.
Yeah.
And, you know, it makes you go
Unrelatable,
insane.
blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
all of the things. And, you know, it doesn't work. So I don't want to show up perfect. I want to show up as myself and my imperfect self and my authentic self
Stitch that on a fucking pillow.
and put it in the entryway.
How many pillows do we need? I can't keep. I'm not nailing any quotes
We
today.
are basically like home sense.
Dollar bills entering my brain. How can we? Do you want to do like a collab? Home goods?
I remember listening to another podcast you did where you were pitching business ideas to people.
I did?
Yeah. Wick and Bear.
Oh, God. Yeah. She's an enabler. She's bad.
Is she or are you?
We both are. That's what makes it like a really like toxic friendship, but in the best way.
In
like
the best
the most
entrepreneurial girly
toxic,
way. Yeah.
like positively toxic. No, toxic makes it sound negative. It's so good, but we're just like, so like, yeah, you can do it. And it's like, do you want to do this? Yeah, I should do that. Oh, should I do this? Or is that crazy? No, do it. Like, it's so good, but it's like, oh my God.
I am so far past that in my entrepreneurial journey. I'm like the lazy entrepreneur now. Like I know what works. I'm going
That's
to do that.
goals.
Yeah.
See, I don't know what works.
Yes,
I'm trying
to.
I mean, I'm learning.
Yes.
I'm learning. Season 2, #season 2. But yeah, I don't, I'm growing and I'm learning, but I would never, I could not, 2 years ago, I could not even look, I wouldn't even, 2, 3, I don't even remember anymore. 3 years ago, whenever I started my Instagram, I think it was November 2020. It's an odd milestone, but for whatever reason, I remember that. I like would not put my face. Like I did not take a photo of myself. I would not like I remember recording my first time being in a story on my thing, and I re-recorded it like 19 times. I was like, oh, it's so bad. Now I'm literally like, I
Now
go on
she
there
turns
with
on
like,
the camera and I think she's taking a picture of me and it's like, Katelyn, this is a video, you boomer.
she's such a boomer.
Yeah.
I'm so Gen Z, it hurts.
I was born 4 months before you.
Ouch. Showing your age much?
Made in the 80s, born in the 90s. Ew.
Oh, I was made in the 90s.
You were made in the 90s. Yeah.
That's gross. Sick. What the fuck was I talking about before that?
Not your parents having sex.
No, not that. Definitely not that. The audacity. Basically, somehow all of that random jargon just kind of came full circle with like the courage to grow and have confidence. And you can't have one without the other, should I say?
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, right?
Unfortunately.
Like, I would really like to just be like out the gate, really good at things and like be able to like just show up and be like, I'm amazing. And
Yeah.
not have to practice and not have to be vulnerable.
Yes, I think that really is the root of it. And also insecurity for what fucking reason? Like, oh yeah, I was like, oh, I don't want to show up. I don't want to show my face because like, what will people say? What will they? No one gives a fuck. What are you talking about? And that's an obstacle. That's like hard.
Right. The unfortunate truth is nobody thinks about you as much as you think about you.
So many nuggets of wisdom.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that was the biggest hurdle for me. It was like honestly faking it until I got there or figuring it out, whatever that saying is, because I just needed to like force myself out of the comfort zone and good things have happened.
Yep.
And now, like at the time, you would never catch me dead talking and recording my voice and having to listen to it endlessly to edit it. And now I'm like, that bitch kind of funny. You know what I mean?
I lost my train of
I know. I'm getting tired. I think that's what's happening. We'll wrap it up. I'll wrap it up. We're just gonna get cuddly under the covers now. I'm sweating.
Why is it so hot in here?
Is this where I'm gonna like ass sweat on your bed, dude? We'll cuddle all night long. Oh, there's the burst of energy. Yeah. So basically, we are here to tell you to just like not put yourself in dangerous situations, but put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Not in a dangerous way at all. Disclaimer. But you know what I mean? Like just get a little outside your comfort zone and then report back to me because I guarantee you good things will happen.
And
It's
just
true.
remember, nobody is thinking about you.
Nobody gives a fuck about you.
Okay, not that far.
No one gives
Laurel.
a flying fuck. Stitch that on a fucking pillow. Nobody quoted by the Wildrose Farmer. Nobody gives a flying fuck about you.
I did not
And I
sign
quote.
a guest release for this. I am not doing any of this.
Are you like a goals person? Like for you, are you thinking like, when if I ask you what's next for Wildrose Farmer or Rural Woman Podcast? Or no, Wildrose. What's next for Katelyn Duban?
Thank you.
That's what I want to ask. Actually,
you.
yeah.
That's a deep question. It
is.
It's probably easier actually for me to answer like what's next for Wildrose Farmer and Rural Woman Podcast,
Which is an extension of Katelyn Duban,
right?
so
Like
that's
it's
okay.
just that's the extroverted Katelyn Duban.
Your alter ego?
That's my alter ego. It's
Yeah.
like Sasha Fierce. What's next for Katelyn Duban?
Are you more? Because for me, I just blank. Like
I don't have like
you fly by the seat of your
Yeah.
pants. Yeah, same. Like I can't answer that.
I go by feelings. I go by emotions. I go by what feels right. Which
Organic.
Yeah, it makes. I think that's what a social entrepreneur is, isn't it? I don't know. Cut that out.
Sounds right.
But
I'm gonna leave it.
I don't know the actual definition.
Okay.
At least put the real definition in here. I don't know. Like I go by the feels, and for people who are like really business savvy and like numbers gurus and all of those kinds of things, like they're cringing right now. But you know what? I'm here to tell you that somehow the numbers add up and it works out. So I guess until it stops working out,
Well, you heard it here first.
I have no goals. I have no future.
No, I'm the same. I am the same way because it's like when I get mad when I read or hear or whatever, but like you need to have a 5. No, I don't fucking have a 5-year plan.
I don't have a 5-minute plan.
No, and that's not to say I'm not organized or ambitious.
No.
Like that sounds
Well, that's the
on
thing.
paper like you're lazy, but it's like I'm just not going to. That's a later me problem. Why do I need to worry about shit that I don't
But
have any
that's the
control
thing,
over right now?
Like, as long as you're consistent with what's working for you and what's good for you, like season 2, you're here.
Season 2, and that's
year
building.
4.
That is going
like,
forward.
That is like it's the consistency that builds all of these things that make all of your dreams come true.
And And it's just the audacity that I'm going to continue to harness.
Fucking audacity.
Fucking audacity. That's probably the episode title. Audacity of
Love it.
something like that.
Audacity of the
The Wildrose.
do not. Do
No,
not.
I know what it is. It's nobody gives a flying fuck about you. The Wildrose Farmer. Audacity. Hashtag Audacity 2023. We need to go to bed. So we're going to call it. This was a lovely, lovely, lovely episode.
Good night.
Very, very different vibes. I wonder if I should do all season 2 interviews in a bed. I don't know.
I don't know. You better ask Andy if these people
He's
can go in
fine.
your
It's
matrimonial
fine.
bed.
Who have I got lined up that probably wouldn't be into that? No, I can't think of anybody. I think everybody would enjoy that.
Chore beer bed chats.
Sure, pillow chats,
I
pillow
think-
talk,
I
Chorbier
think
pillow
talk
talk,
is taken.
not pillow chats.
I don't know.
TM. We'll work on it. All right, we're gonna wrap it up, and I don't know when this is airing, but I hope you enjoy this delicious nugget when it does, because this was an absolute treat.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you
My
so much
pleasure.
for joining me and for having me in your bed.
Anytime.
Anytime. I will take you up on that for sure. Cheers and good night.
Cheers.